story.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or to take arms against a sea of troubles.
И в смертной схватке с целым морем бед покончить с ним. Умереть.
In the tragedy of Hamlet, the ghost of a king appears on the stage. Hamlet becomes crazy in the second act, and his mistress becomes crazy in the third. The prince slays the father of his mistress under the pretense of killing a rat, and the heroine throws herself into the river. In the meanwhile, another of the actors conquers Poland. Hamlet, his mother and his father-in-law carouse on the stage. Songs are sung at table. There's quarreling, fighting, killing. It is a vulgar and barbarous drama which would not be tolerated by the vilest populace of France or Italy. One would imagine this piece to be the work of a drunken savage.
It's a sensational story. I mean, that really must be the combination of the character, the young hero, the adolescent, trying to accommodate the adult world, trying to come to some sort of accommodation with the adult world, and a fantastically good plot. I mean, that must be a winning combination.
Есть шедевр, вокруг которого ходишь, как в музее ходишь вокруг Венеры или шедевра Микеланджело, и стараешься его познать, потому что он бесконечен, он стоит веками, так и это стоит веками, и каждый вкладывает, это уже стало какой-то символ копилки всемирной, в которой все складывают. Каждый художник вкладывает все свои мысли, все свои раздумья по поводу нашего существования на Земле. И почему она для меня особая пьеса? Потому что и у Шекспира она стоит особняком.
I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercise. And indeed it goes so heavily with me that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave or hanging firmament, this majestical roof, fretted with golden fire. Why, it appears no other thing to me but a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man!
How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form, in moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust?
I think that a certain equipment is vital in a Hamlet. I think that he must have a capacity for being noble and gentle, but also brutal and coarse. And there tends to be a tradition that pushes him one way or the other rather than both. I think that he has to be obviously full of passion, but able to stand outside his own passion and be objective about it. He has to have a strong sense of irony, wit, humor. He has to have a deep intellectual energy. He has to have a very volatile temperament so that you never know what he's going to be like from one moment to the next. So the demands are huge, and the more Catholic in sensibility the actor is, the better.
Really, anybody can play it, in a sense. As you can see, I mean, any gender, any age of actor can play. It can be played by someone of 20. Michael Redgrave, I think, played it when he was 50, and it was excellent. And somebody else, I forget who, was it Forbes Robinson or someone, played it when he was over 80. Equally, Sarah Bernhardt played it. Francis Latour has played it, so it's not even exclusive to one gender.
It seems always to have been the most desired and feared of actors' roles. The point is, perhaps, that the play revolves around the actor so much that he or she, not the director, often dictates the course of the production.
I suppose that unless you're going to do a kind of theory Hamlet and you're going to set it in a cage or something and it's going to say something particular about a particular political situation in the country that's being done, I think maybe the best thing a director can do is make life easy for his leading actor.
In Hamlet, and indeed in most of the great Shakespearean plays, the most important person in the interpretation is the leading actor. I can tell you that the most potent and the most interesting for me was John Gielgud, by far, because in personality, he has much that corresponds to what I think Hamlet is meant to be. He has been for some time, and still is, easily our best verse speaker, I think, our finest rhetorician, the most musical and sensitive speaker of verse.
Yeah.
Then he's extremely witty, and obviously it's a very alert, quick mind, which is right for Hamlet. And he easily assumes, indeed I'm not sure now that it is an assumption, his manner is extremely royal.
Here hang those lips which I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your fleshes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar. Not one now to mock your own grinning. Quite chop fallen. Now get you to my lady's chamber and tell her that her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that.
The whole play depends on the brooding figure of Hamlet. His father, the king, has died, and a ghost that resembles him has been seen on the castle battlements. Hamlet returns for the funeral from his studies abroad to find his uncle about to marry his still grieving mother, thus becoming the new king. What Hamlet does not yet know is that his uncle murdered his father for the throne.
It's a story of a kingdom run by a king who has perpetrated a crime and who thinks he's going to get away with that crime. And that crime provokes a sense of rottenness which must be finally exorcised, cleansed. That public outline is the context within which the most unbelievably private, secret anxieties, questionings are dealt with in the private world.
At the beginning, you see him in a public situation, a very public situation, which was very painful to him, in a room that's full of memories of his father who's died, with his mother, with another man. You kind of see him, first of all, in the black coat, as he says, that he shows to other people.
Everybody else is celebrating the royal marriage, and, you know, it's like Nixon's inauguration. You know, the future is all going to be wonderful, and you think, well, yes, I don't believe any of these people are corrupt. And there is this churlish figure in black.
I mean, he says right away, "Seems, madam, nay, it is. I know not seems. I have that within which passeth show." So he's someone, he's right away, you can't avoid, you saying someone, you're saying, I'm someone who's not going to seem, I'm going to be.
And then everybody goes, and he says, I just wish I could die. And that's terribly shocking.
How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. Fie on't, fie. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. That it should come to this, but 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this Hyperion to a satyr. So loving to my mother that he might not suffer the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember. Why she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month. Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman.
Whoever it was said that Hamlet is a man with one foot in the Middle Ages and one foot in the modern world, in the sense that he's in a situation where he's expected to behave like a revenge hero, like an eye for an eye sort of angel of destruction. But on the other hand, he's a Renaissance humanist and rationalist who thinks and reflects on things. I think that's an interesting remark because it's not only true historically, it's true psychologically as well. And I think one of the reasons why audiences like the play so much is that everybody in their own lives, almost every day, at some point, face the kind of crisis that Hamlet faces. That's to say, do you behave like a kind of reactive savage to the people who live near you, or do you behave like a rational and thinking and sensitive human being? And in a sense, putting it in that psychological sense, it's everybody can relate to Hamlet.
It's nonsense to pretend that Hamlet is the story of every man. It isn't. It is Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. And that's the whole motor of the story, is that it's not just you or I growing up in a corrupt world. It is somebody who is obliged to take a public role.
It's a role which becomes traumatic when Hamlet sees his father's ghost, who tells him how he was murdered. When Richard Eyre directed the play 9 years ago with Jonathan Pryce, his most celebrated innovation was in his interpretation of the ghost.
I wanted Hamlet to be possessed by the spirit of his father. This was the only means I could think of at the time of making the manifestation of his father's spirit effective for a contemporary audience, highly skeptical about the existence of the spirit world. His father had very recently died. The grief for his father was very powerful and very subjectively felt by Jonathan.
I am my father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. List, oh list, if ever thou didst thy dear father love, oh God, revenge his foul and most unnatural murder. Murder? I murder most foul, as in the best it is, but in this most foul, strange, and unnatural. Adieu. 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 Remember me.
Hamlet, remember. Remember me.
I suppose one of the things that's central is contradiction. It behoves him to revenge, but there's something within him that he can't articulate that prevents him from doing it.
He wants to be alone. He wants to have no responsibilities, no public responsibilities, and in particular, he doesn't want the responsibility of discharging the ghost's instructions to revenge his uncle.
Порвалась дней связующая нить. Как мне обрывки их соединить?
Oh, cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right, a man who feels himself miscast for a tragedy and a melodrama which he must perform. Don't say it's right, but I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that,
Hamlet. What hell is in fact underneath the floor?
Yes, quite right.
Heaven is up top.
That's right.